Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Labor Live at 5. I'm your host, Rick Levy, with the Texas AFL-CIO. Some of our sharp reviewers might notice something that's a little different about tonight. I'll see if anybody in the comments can figure out what's different about how we usually come to you. And we'll get back to you, and hopefully we'll answer that question, see who's right, see who's an observant viewer of Texas AFL-CIO's Labor Live at 5. Listen, y'all, I'm really excited about our show tonight, but before we get to our guests, I just want to thank all of you who weighed in last week. We had our virtual lobby week where we brought folks from all over the state. We brought your voices into the Capitol through visual, video, meeting with representatives, and I think we made a really positive impact by letting the legislators know that even though we're not walking the halls of the building every day, our voices still need to be considered and our stories still need to be heard. So thank you to all the activists, the Central Labor Councils who took time to get involved in that today. All right, last week, I'm sorry. So listen, tonight we have a guest that I'm really excited for y'all to meet. Our guest is Chris Hodge, who's the president of the United Auto Workers Local 3057 in Marshall, Texas. Now, a lot of y'all don't even know where Marshall, Texas is. But we're going to learn about that tonight. We're going to learn about the struggle that the brothers and sisters out there have engaged in. And to do that with us, Chris, welcome, brother. Thank you for being with us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, now Chris is actually live from the picket line on his phone. You can see in the background the tents that they have set up. And so tell me about where do y'all work and what's going on out there?
Yes, we work at Prism Group, right outside of Marshall, Texas. We're maybe 5-10 minutes out of Marshall, Texas. It's actually right in between Marshall and Wascom, or Marshall and Shreveport, Louisiana. Okay. And we make industrial cable.
All right. And so, Chris, tell us a little bit about the workforce. When did you go to work out there, and how did you get involved in the union?
Yes, sir. I've came out and hired in 2003. So it was I came in through a temporary service. They sent me out here, and I got hired on and everything. And shortly after, the union had been just formed pretty much, and just another worker that was a part of the union was telling me about the union. This is my first job that was unionized, and so he was telling me about it and telling me how it was before the union got in and everything, and that the union was for everybody and try to treat everybody fair to make sure that everything is done decent and in order. And so I'm all for that. So I was like, where do I sign up at? Right. And so I actually joined right away. And here I am 17 years later as the local president.
Okay, good. And is this the first time y'all have ever had to go on strike?
Yes, sir. This is the first time. So this is our first rodeo. When I first hired in, it was actually General Cable. It was General Cable was the name, and like 2 years ago, Prism Group just bought them out, and within the last 2 years, they have just started treating us worse and worse. To be honest with you, it's just going downhill, and so that's pretty much where we are now. But we felt like we didn't have a choice right now. It was time for negotiation, and we felt like we had to. We couldn't reach a common ground to get a contract that worked for the both of us. So we didn't have a choice.
So Chris, when you say it's been getting worse, I know that during COVID it's been really tough on y'all. Can you tell folks who are watching like what it's really been like, what y'all have put on the line, and the way the company's responded?
Well, matter of fact, last year we it was time for our contract. It was up, and it was time to negotiate last year. And right in the middle of us trying to negotiate a decent contract, the pandemic hit. And so we went to the company and said, hey, let's come to a common ground right now and try to get through this pandemic safe as we can. So we told them, let's just get a year contract together and we'll work off of that and hope the pandemic is over. And so they agreed and we did that. And then we was deemed as essential. So we worked the entire pandemic, the whole year, never shut down. We was deemed essential. So we worked the whole time. And we asked them to just shut down the plant a couple of days or something to sanitize the whole plant to try to make sure everybody stays safe. And their answer to us was absolutely not. We can't do that. We can't do that. So we had to continue coming to work every day, taking a risk. I mean, it be honest with you, it had got real bad to where they wasn't, a lot of people wasn't prepared for the pandemic, but we ran out of soap, hand sanitizer, all kind of stuff that we did not have. And they expected us and held our foot to the fire till we had to come to work, So we did that, and it wasn't any kind of appreciation to that. And so the year ran out, and now we're back at the table, and they're still trying to cram a unfair contract down our throat, and that's why we're on strike today.
So it's like you put out, you meet their needs, you keep the company going through the pandemic, and then it comes time to decide how they're going to treat you going forward, and it's like, no, thank you. I mean, that's isn't that classic?
It's bad. I mean, to be honest with you, even 2 years ago, they were shutting down a plant in Arkansas. So they came to us, and we had just negotiated a contract 3 years, so everything was said and done. So they was like, well, then we're going to move everything down to Marshall, so it's going to take 3 years. And so by the time we get through putting everything in Marshall, we'll have to go right back and be in the middle of another negotiation with you guys. So we're trying to see if y'all would consider extending the contract 2 more years, so make it a 5-year contract. Normally we don't do a 5-year contract, but they came to us, they asked us, we met with the membership, and we agreed to it. But it just seems like we trying to meet them halfway. We try to do everything we can, but in return, we don't get anything. We don't get any appreciation or anything. So we just felt like if we don't stand up for ourselves now, it's just gonna continue getting worse and worse.
Right. Well, let me ask you about this, Chris, because being a union leader in a place like Marshall, Texas, cannot be the easiest thing. And I'm wondering what kind of response you've had from the community there, and what kind of support you're getting from the community. Are people understanding what you're doing?
It's definitely not easy. It's definitely not easy. A lot of people don't have a clue of what we represent. They don't have a clue about it, just to be honest with you. But on that note, some people are, once they started asking questions, that's the best thing to do. If you don't know something, ask questions so you can understand. And so once it got around and people started asking questions and finding out more about it, we have been getting some support from the community. They'll bring food out, or they'll call to get in touch with myself or the chairman or something, and we arrange where we go pick up food. And we've had a lot of support. They come up and down the road, as you see, it's busy highway. They'll honk their horns. But then you have, on the other hand, you have people that, whether they understand or not, they're not for you. They think you're supposed to just go and work and do whatever your managers or bosses or whatever you want to call them tell you to do. But it's those days are gone. Those days are gone. We just want to be treated fairly. So you have people go up and down the road that may give you a thumbs down or frown or things like that. But so no, it's not the easiest thing, but I was raised to stand up for what I feel is right, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you a question, Chris, because it was something that really are losing for a second. Okay, so can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. Just it went out for a little second.
Okay, but you can hear me now. So
Yeah.
about the community, like you're real conscious of the role that your strike plays in terms of benefiting the community, whether people are union or not. Can you talk about that and whether people understand that?
Yes, for sure. Because I mean, we understand that we are standing out here not just for ourselves, not just for our family, not even just for the community, but the working force all over the world. Because if we do not, and the corporate world keep making things worse, I mean, we're not going to have anything basically, and go right back to the community. This is one of the decent jobs that's been in here in the past. But since it's been bought out, like I said, it's been going downhill. But if we don't stand up and try to keep a decent job here, our kids and their kids, they have to move away from around here to find a decent job to work at.
Yeah.
When the wages are not going up, but the benefits prices is still going up, the money's not making it to your household. And so that's why we're standing so strong, is because we know it's bigger than us. And that's what I would like for people to understand, that, hey, we're taking a stance for everybody, not just us, not just our families, but the whole community, and everybody is actually standing up and working, the working force.
Yeah, that connection is such an important one for people to understand. It's like when we do this, it's like you're not just doing it for yourself. And in fact, it's a sacrifice. I mean, people don't understand how hard it is to be on strike. Nobody wants to be on strike, okay?
Absolutely.
But when you're doing that, it's not just going to benefit y'all when you win that strike. It's going to benefit the entire economy of Marshall. It's going to benefit workers across the state who see that you can stand up and demand some justice and get it done by sticking together. That's so powerful, Chris. Congratulations to y'all, man.
I really appreciate it. It's definitely a sacrifice, and like I said, I was raised to stand up for what I feel is right. And at the end of the day, I had to have a conversation with my wife and my daughter and let them know what we was about to encounter and why. So it's definitely a sacrifice, and I believe in God. So we prayed about it, and we just moving forward. Hopefully we can reach a common ground and everybody get somewhere where everybody can work and continue on working. But at this point right now, it's a stance that I felt like we had to take, and I'm willing to take it, and it's just what it is at this point.
Great. We're talking to Chris Hodge, president of the United Auto Workers Local 3057 in Marshall, Texas. And Chris, I think your story is inspiring people, and people have asked how they can help. And one way they can help is, I see that the Dallas AFL-CIO has posted a link or an address for people to send checks. There you go, to your strike relief fund by mailing checks to UAW Region 8. And it has an address there and how to do that. So that link will be in the chat, and we encourage people to go there. I'll tell you right now, Chris, that we're going to make a contribution to that fund as soon as we get off the phone here today. So we want you to know how deeply we support y'all. And beyond that, I know that there have been some folks that have come out to visit you from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. How'd that feel?
For sure. It really was heart moving. It really was for people to take time out of their busy schedule to travel 2.5, 3 hours to come down here and show their support and show us that we're not here alone and show us the way. Like I said, this is our first rodeo, and some people was able to come down and give us some encouraging words.
Wait a minute. Was Scabby the Rat there?
Gabby the Rat was here.
Oh my God, in Marshall, Texas?
In Marshall, Texas, he was here.
Okay.
Yes, wow. Sir, he was here. So it lit a fire and encouraged everybody to stay strong, and that's exactly what we've been doing. So we appreciate all the support. Any help would definitely be appreciated. I really appreciate you for having me, for contacting me and reaching out. And you don't understand how much this is doing for myself. And I definitely be relaying it to the members, and we appreciate it.
No, that's awesome, Chris. And I know that I think that the folks are coming back out there. I think Angie DiFilippo from the Tarrant County Central Labor Council was telling me that they will be there again on Thursday. So they'll hopefully that'll lift you all up again. And big support to the folks in Dallas and Fort Worth for reaching out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They did an amazing job.
Behind the pine curtain. I mean, they're down there. Okay. And Chris, what are the prospects? Is the company shown like they're hearing you, or is there any move to get back to the table?
I'll tell you one thing. Last Monday, when the bus loaded, people came out of Dallas and Arlington area. A supervisor was coming in at that same time, and I guess she went there and told the plant manager there was a bus out there, and they all came out to the gate to see what was going on, who was here. So that definitely got their attention, and we actually heard from them, I want to say Thursday, and we're supposed to start back talking on tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great news.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, that's great news. Well, hopefully when you go into bargaining tomorrow, you'll have a little bit of wind in your sails from feeling the love and support from folks around the state and even beyond, because I used to live out in East Texas, and I know what the climate is like for working folks who try and stand up. And, on the one hand, there's a lot of anti-union sentiment. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people out in East Texas who love unions and who know the importance of unions and who are going to be and having your back. So I hope you feel that too.
Definitely, and it's definitely needed. But to tell you the truth, it's definitely needed, and we have been receiving it. So it's we take the good with the bad, but the good is definitely outweighing the bad.
Well, that's definitely awesome. All right, I'm going to ask a question now of our folk before you head off, Chris. Hold on a second. I saw a couple people guess that it was different because the office was open. No, the office isn't open. Just some of us are working here. No, it's not, because I have a dress shirt and not a T-shirt. That's close, Homer, but that's not right. So we'll get to you in a minute. But I just see Pauline talking in the Pauline Mims talking in the thing. I was on the phone with Pauline, and I said, "Damn, Pauline, what's wrong? You sound like you're really sick. What's wrong with your voice?" She said, "Well, I've got picket line voice. I was out at local 33057 raising a ruckus out in East Texas." So thank you, Pauline, and thanks to all the folks who went out there. But no, what's different about this one is you notice my tight fade, okay? Because like my vaccine kicked in. It was 2 weeks. My first trip was to the barber. And I thought me and Chris having the same kind of hairstyle, y'all would enjoy that. So I feel like, my twin brother from Marshall, Texas, and I, we're going to keep fighting this company together. So we'll just leave that out there. So you're out there in between Marshall and Shreveport. I think folks really appreciated hearing from you, Chris. We definitely are inspired by your leadership and your courage and standing up for this company and standing up for all of us. So be strong, brother, and know that we're behind you. If there's anything that you need, that the AFL-CIO has your back, okay?
All right. I sure appreciate everything.
All right. Well, you stay strong, and we hope that a bunch of folks will have your back as you move forward. And people, again, remember, Gene Lance posted the place where y'all can send checks to support the folks that are standing on strike. There it is. Anything y'all can do to help, let's be there for these folks because they're certainly there for us. All right, so that'll do it for tonight's edition of Labor Live at 5. Big thanks to Chris and his union up in Marshall, Texas. We'll be keeping an eye on what's going on, and we'll get back with folks as things move forward. Good luck tomorrow, Chris. I hope they come with a more understanding attitude for y'all. All right?
Exactly. We're hoping the same thing.
Okay, very good. Well, you take care and stay safe, okay?
All righty. You do the same.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.